Good morning, Divya, and good morning to all our viewers. If India is the mother of democracy, this parliament is where the democracy unravels itself in the best and worst forms. From today, of course, the stage is all set for the session of the parliament, and there are about 8 bills that the government has listed as part of its governance agenda, and the opposition has also made up its mind to ensure that it presents a united face to ask the government some very critical questions on Operation Sindoor, on the ongoing SIR revision process that's happening in Bihar, and most importantly, it also wants to raise questions on the aftermath of Operation Sindoor and the comments that were made by US President Donald Trump claiming a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. But most importantly, let's also understand what really happened and what really is expected. The meeting, the all-party meeting that happened yesterday was particularly important because there were about over 50 political leaders who took part in this meeting that was chaired by Kiran Rijiju, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister. And Rajnath Singh, the Defence Minister, was supposed to chair it, could not make it because he was not well. And in that meeting, Mr. Rijiju made it very clear that the government is looking for consensus. Another most important highlight is also the removal of ex-Delhi High Court Judge Justice Yashwant Verma on charges of corruption. Now, of course, 100 signatures are needed for that from the Lok Sabha. And that is something that Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju has said that he has. But remember that there's also another viewpoint regarding this case, with several experts like Kapil Sibal, who's also an MP, asking questions as to why there was no FIR in the first place. But all that we know that this is going to be a session of a lot of combat, a lot of confrontation, and we are hoping that there is some agreement like we saw in the winter session of the Parliament. With me is, of course, Aishwarya. Aishwarya, tell us a little bit about what is expected today. And today, it's the first day, and generally there's a feeling that the parliament convenes and it disperses. That's what happens on the first day. But what exactly is expected on the first day, and throughout the course of the session, what is going to be the strategy like?
Well, so there's a sense in the party meeting yesterday was it's going to be fiery. It's going to be heated arguments in this monsoon session. There are a lot of issues that the opposition bloc want to raise, and certainly it's Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge's birthday today. So the Congress MPs had been called in at around 10:15 at the Congress party office, and there will be a strategy meeting that how Congress would be going forward in this monsoon session. But yesterday, as the government has accepted the demands of the opposition as well, that there will be discussion on Operation Sindur, the aftermath of Pahalgam terror attacks. Leaders like Ram Gopal Yadav from the Samajwadi Party, from the Biju Janata Dal, Sasmit Patra, and others have stated that government has accepted the demand, and certainly the answers the opposition are seeking is certainly the statement from some of the government representative, either from the Prime Minister or from the Defence Minister, as to why it was United States President Donald Trump who had announced the mediation on the social media before announcing here in India. So all of these had been taken into regard, but one very important thing that Kiran Rijiju also mentioned, that in the BAC that is going to happen today in both for Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there would be these smaller parties that will be given more chance in this monsoon session of Parliament. So that will be very interesting to see as to how things pan out.
Absolutely. So it is very clear that the Business Advisory Committee is going to decide on what is going to happen. And Aishwarya, the most thing is the opposition wants the Prime Minister to reply on all of these debates, starting with Operation Sindoor, the comments of Donald Trump, and the ongoing SIR exercise. Now, of course, the Prime Minister cannot be responding to every debate. My sources tell me that it is the Minister who is going to respond to these these allegations. Why is the opposition so insistent on the Prime Minister sort of responding to this, and what is going to be the government's strategy?
Well, yesterday the Congress leader Gaurav Gogoi stated that Prime Minister hasn't spoken on the issue of Manipur for a very long time. Prime Minister has not visited the state of Manipur. In response to what we asked to Kiran Rijiju as to the demands of opposition that they want Prime Minister to speak in the House, it is Kiran Rijiju who stated that Prime Minister is always available in the Parliament. He never escapes apart from those days when he is on official tour to the foreign country, and he's there listening different committees and whatever the grievances are, and he is always available. But of course, the sources have clearly stated that it would be Defence Minister Rajnath Singh most probably. And that meeting, remember, just 2 days back at his residence, where all the 3 service chiefs, including the NSA and the CDS, were called in, and that was a briefing that was given to him as to how on the floor of the House the minister would reply, and that could be recorded in the Parliament as well.
Aishwarya, stay with us. So my sense is that the government is actually looking forward to this discussion on Operation Sindoor, but the opposition has also in some ways prepared itself with a lot of questions, and most importantly, the government also wants to push its legislative agenda. So like I told you, 8 new bills and 7 pending bills are on the anvil, and amongst the 8 new bills that are going to be brought up, the Sports Federation bill is going to be particularly important, because if you remember, we did see a lot of controversy with Bhushan Singh. The wrestling federations, the federations are seen as, political hotspots. The government is looking at professionalizing them, and that is going to be a hot potato issue, hot button issue as well. Apart from that, there are going to be other, the income tax bill, which is a pending bill, which went to the JPC, is also going to be brought back. Jayapanda-led committee has looked into it. And then there's the Jan Vishwas bill. There are also very important bills with regard to critical minerals, mines, and, other areas, other sectors. So mixed bag, really. Let's also take a look at some reactions which came about today and yesterday on this Parliament session that's about to commence.
Therefore, I appeal to everyone in the political spectrum, please have mutual respect. Please don't trade unbecoming language on television or otherwise against leadership of one party or the other. This culture is not our civilizational essence. If political dialogue takes place at a higher level, interest of the nation will be served.
ऑल पार्टी का फ्लोर लीडर्स का मीटिंग हुआ, और इसमें कुल मिलाकर के 51 पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज और इंडिपेंडेंट एमपीज टोटल हमारे इस सत्र में भाग लेंगे। टोटल 51 ग्रुप से 54 मेंबर्स आज पार्टिसिपेट किए, और 40 लोगों ने अपना पार्टी का तरफ से मत रखा है। बहुत ही सकारात्मक रहा है। सारे पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स ने अपने अपने पार्टीज़ के पोजीशन बताया, और उनके मुद्दे जो इस सत्र में लाने का है उनको भी सामने में रखा है। सरकार की ओर से हम लोग ने सारा पॉइंट्स नोट किए हैं।
हमारी ये मांग है कि ऐसे कुछ विशेष विषय इस सदन में, इस सत्र में उठाए जाएंगे। इस बार हमारी पहले से ज़्यादा उम्मीद है कि प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी सदन के अंदर, सदन के द्वारा देश को संबोधित करेंगे। वे महत्वपूर्ण विषय हैं पहलगाम, उसमें जो चूक हुई, क्योंकि जो बयान आज अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति से आ रहे हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं भारत की गरिमा, भारत की सेना की शौर्य पर सवाल उठाता है।
So like we understand, Operation Sindoor is going to be an important flashpoint between the opposition parties and the Treasury benches. Remember, this is the first session, Parliament session after Operation Sindoor, and it's going to be very important, not just the questions that the opposition asks of the government, but also how the government responds to this. Mohammad Ghazali, my colleague who covers the MEA, joins us now. Is already with me. Ghazali, help us understand, how is the government going to answer a lot of these questions that the opposition parties are wanting to raise, because the opposition parties are going to focus their attack on the fact that Donald Trump basically claimed a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Now, that is something that not just the Prime Minister, but everybody has spoken about. Dr. S. Jaishankar has spoken at length about this. So this is going to be a repetition, but anything that gets spoken in the Parliament also has a sense of resonance outside the Parliament. So help us understand, how is the government going to look at this diplomatically, especially because there's a trade deal that's working out with the US. So diplomatically, it's going to be, a delicate balancing the government, and the Prime Minister is also all set to, embark on his trip to the UK and other countries. Help us understand how is the government going to look at this diplomatically?
See, Vasudha, as you rightly pointed out, this will be a delicate and balancing act as well, and most of the contents of what the government will be addressing regarding the opposition's demand will be a repeat of what we have heard in the last 3-4 months since Operation Sindur. But it is also going to be very interesting because a lot of these opposition MPs were part of those inter-parliamentary, inter-ministerial delegation which went to different countries to dispel the rumors, the sort of fake news which Pakistan was spreading to put Pakistan into isolation. This inter-ministerial delegation went to multiple countries and many opposition MPs were part of it. So it will be interesting to see the position of those MPs as well. While on the floor of the House, the opposition will be asking and demanding answers about how many jets were down, why Mr. Trump is time and again he's repeating that he was the one who mediated and brought a ceasefire between the two countries. The standard response of the government will be obviously not to target Mr. Trump because, as you rightly pointed out, the PTA is going on, the talks around the bilateral trade agreement is going on with US. Prime Minister also has to embark on a visit to UK for an FTA with them as well. But the responses will be very calibrated approach from the government because they will speak about not the technicalities, but the modalities of the entire operation, that how the operation was carried out, what were the precision targets, whether the jets were down or not. Perhaps that will also may come from the the Union Minister of Defense, Mr. Rajnath Singh as well. But as far as the diplomacy is concerned, as far as the role of United States is concerned, I think it will mostly it will be the repeat of what the External Affairs Minister or the ministry has been responding to these questions in the last few weeks.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Ghazali, for joining us with those details. Very quickly, Aishwarya, when it comes to the opposition strategy with respect to Operation Sindur, they have to be careful to not seem anti-armed forces, but at the same time, they have to ask the right questions. The government, according to my sources, seems very keen on having this conversation. What is expected?
Well, one thing that the sources have revealed to us that all of those MPs were the part of the delegation who were sent to 33 different global capitals. Their experiences will be shared in the floor of the House when this discussion begin. And certainly the response, the overwhelming response, specifically from the United States, when we spoke to Tejasvi Surya and leaders in the delegation of United States, they stated that when they spoke to Vice President Vance over there, it was an overwhelming response, the support that they got. And that to the TRF getting designated the terrorist group in the United States as well. So all of those things need to be on the floor of the House. That is to be recorded, and therefore the reason perhaps the government has accepted that the success story of the Operation Sindur and of the Indian Armed Forces should be put on table as well. Of course, there are questions that the opposition will definitely ask about the foreign leaders being speaking on Operation Sindur, but Kiran yesterday mentioned that it is government who will not respond to foreign leaders in the House of the Parliament, but certainly they are ready to answer all of those issues that are concerned.
So the Resistance Front getting designated as a terrorist organization has come just in time for the Parliament session as well. There is another issue that is going to be a major flashpoint, and that is air safety. We saw a horrific air crash incident, AI-171. Ahmedabad a few days ago. This was a plane that was going from Ahmedabad to London, and that crashed, and that led to the deaths of over 260 people. And there are several questions that are being asked about air safety and with regard to the aviation sector. And both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha will see these questions. Remember, there's an hour of question hour that is dedicated to these houses. In fact, the aviation questions will begin in Rajya Sabha today, is what we understand. And Ram Mohan Naidu of the aviation minister, he's from the TDP, has already clarified with regard to the Aviation Accidents Investigation Bureau that came out with its report, in which there have been some speculations about it not being comprehensive. There have also been speculations with regard to pilot error, and that is something that Ram Naidu has clearly said is not substantial. In fact, he has said that people need to wait for the whole report to come about. Aishwarya, help us understand with regard to this. This is an open and shut case, and people have to keep waiting till the report comes out. How is the opposition going to look at this? Because there are so many questions that is being asked about aviation sector with respect to investment, with respect to the fact that there are air prices that are surging every day, and then there's this question of passenger safety. What are the questions that the opposition is looking at raising?
Well, just before the monsoon session, there were some committees that also met, and there were summons that were given to the aviation secretary, to the air secretary, and many officials from those departments. And the clean chit had been given, of course, to the blame that had been given, and the media that is completely supporting the narrative that it was the pilots to be blamed in that case. Rammohan Naidu clarifying that, but opposition parties yesterday also spoke in one voice that there should be a thorough discussion over the passenger safety, the aviation sector as well, and the government should respond. The government should also seek suggestions on the floor of the house, and therefore the reason perhaps this particular debate can also something that government can accept.
Of course, so this is an issue that has resonance with all our lives because flight safety, aviation safety is something that all of us need to be concerned about. And coming to the most important highlight of the session is also the removal of Justice Verma, former Delhi High Court judge who's now in the Allahabad High Court and who is charged with corruption because there was a huge lot of cash that was found at his official residence on the 14th of March that led to an investigation by an internal Supreme Court committee. In fact, this inquiry was okayed by the Chief Justice himself. The report came, it held him guilty, and that is the report that basically also will lead to his removal. In fact, the beauty of a democracy is that the government doesn't have power to remove any judge, but the MPs have, 100 MPs have to sign for the judge to be impeached. Removed is the right word, what we've been told, and about 50 MPs from Rajya Sabha, but this is coming to the Lok Sabha is what we hear, and that process is also to begin today or in the next few days. Aishwarya, one of those very few issues where we see opposition and ruling party, having a sense of consensus. What is going to happen on that front?
Well, one thing my sources also revealed that why there was an extension to monsoon session of Parliament for a week. Earlier, it was scheduled till August 12th, and the reason behind that was to bring impeachment. The government has made their mind. Kiran Rijiju clarified that they have got more than 100 signatures already from the MPs. So impeachment will be brought in Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha, is something that the sources have also stated. Number two, there is a huge process involved into it. After signatures being received, the motion had to be brought in. Yesterday, some of the MPs defined the entire process. There would be someone from Justice Verma or himself who will be called to the Parliament as well. His narrative would be taken. He can question the MPs if there would be discussion or what the MPs want. So the entire process will take at least 2 to 3 days of time period. But it's going to be historic in a sense as far as the opposition and the Treasury benches making a sense of a consensus between both of them to bring impeachment this time against Justice
Verma. That's right. And Justice Yashwant Verma, to just remind you, has already moved Supreme Court against to quash the report of the internal committee. What is going to happen on that front is also will be close tracking. In a few hours from now, the monsoon session of the Parliament is all set to commence, and the government is all set with its legislative agenda, while the opposition is also prepared to corner the government on a couple of issues, including Operation Sindoor, the ongoing SIR process, and also comments that have been made by Donald Trump claiming that he facilitated a ceasefire between Pakistan and India. With that, it's back to the studio.